Paul?
I've seen all the stuff on Twitter.
They're only 2 years old.
Yeah.
There we go.
Dude, Kevin Owens tweeted.
Agenda where's that beer?
Welcome to another episode of Into the West Comics. My name is Frank. Sonny is here.
Yo, what's going on, everybody?
Paul is here.
Hi. Howdy doody.
Howdy doody.
Howdy, duty.
Howdy doody. That's what I went with. It sure is.
And the Red Bull Bros have expanded to 4 this evening. All quattro of us.
Cheers, gentlemen.
Oh, nice.
We're not sponsored by Red Bull. But
No.
That'd be
Yeah,
cool.
there it is, yeah.
That
Red
would
Bull.
be nice.
At some point in time.
Give you wings. Donovan is here.
Let's see this trailer, man. I'm ready. I'm ready for this.
Okay.
I have avoided the internet, the interweb, as they say.
Oh,
Yeah,
wait, you
interweb.
haven't watched it?
I have not seen 1 second of this trailer today.
Okay,
I
so-
saved it for the show.
You waited 11 and a half hours. We're not going to make you wait another minute. Or maybe we will. I don't know. We're going to watch the Matrix trailer
Let's
right
sit
now.
here in silence for a minute, and
Don't-
then we'll play the trailer.
Let's not do that.
I'm
Let's
fine
not,
with it.
Let's not do that, Tim. I set my alarm because it came out at 6 o'clock in the morning. I set my alarm for 6:30. Watched it in the morning, and then I watch it again. So
I can't wait to watch this. I'm so excited.
let's go. Everybody knows how stoked I am for this.
I have a
December 22nd,
feeling.
it drops.
Mm-hmm.
On simultaneous on HBO Max and in theaters.
Yeah, we're going to see that in the theaters.
We'll see it in theaters. And
Why
then
would
I'll
anyone
go
not
home.
see this in theaters?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well-
yeah, I'm ready to see this. I've been chomping at the bit for my mind to be freed.
Okay.
That was my piano. Okay, here we go.
That was good.
I'm gonna look over here on this
Thomas.
monitor.
You seem particularly triggered right now. Can you tell me what happened?
I've had dreams that weren't just dreams.
Whoa. Is that Neil Patrick?
Neil Patrick Harris.
Crazy.
We don't use that word in here.
What the heck? Oh man, the Jefferson Airplane down the rabbit hole. This is
The White Rabbit. It's a good song. Great song.
Even perfect, actually.
oh
Do we know each other?
Have we met?
Wrong. Sorry.
I think I know what's going on.
Yes, you do.
Yeah,
You saw him taking the prescription blue pills?
yeah. I have a theory. This is so freaking good.
He's like, nah.
He's freeing his mind again.
Yeah. I think Keanu looks too much like John Wick.
Oh, Sati! That's Sati from the 3rd movie.
With the cookies.
Yep.
Fly.
Time to fly. Red pill.
Lana, you tricky girl. You.
The truth, Neo.
Whoa!
You're going to have to follow me.
Yes.
The only thing that matters to you is still here. I know it's why you're still fighting and why you will never give up.
What?
You don't know me.
What?
No?
What? Oh my God!
Let's go. I told you. Wait for it though. Wait. Ooh,
What
let's
the
go.
heck, dude? Oh my gosh!
New agents.
I think the main agent in this is from the original trilogy.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's Chad Zielinski.
That's Trinity.
Whoa, dude.
Wait for it. Look at this. What?
What the heck, dude? Whoa!
Yes,
that
dude.
looked like the hallway from the first one.
Look. Saw that?
After all these years, to be going back to where it all started. Back to the Matrix.
Jonathan Groff. Who is he? Is he the architect? Is he someone who's from the real world who's telling him what he is? Wow. Oh, real man, dude! Dude!
Okay, I was making sure his brain wasn't spilling out of his ears.
No,
'cause
he's
it
good.
kind
Oh
of
my
seemed like
gosh.
his brain might have
No,
just
you don't
melted.
understand. Like, this movie to me is like,
Oh, it's huge.
it is like, I don't know. It's the most philosophical. It's the most wonderful trilogy of things that we see, and I can't wait for this to happen. I'm at a loss for words. I have no words right now in this moment. So this is super exciting. I have my theory, guys.
Okay.
Tell me what you think.
I'm with you.
So we don't know what happens to Neo's body after the third movie.
Right.
Correct.
We just say it is. They say it is done. Neo freed us. I think the machines plugged him back in and said I don't think he died. I don't think he fully died.
No,
I think
for
they
sure.
were like, he's still alive. Well, we have him now. Can't let him get back in, and we have to do everything to make sure his mind is not woken up again. Because if it is, then we're all doomed. I think that might be what's going on here. I think that
They're leaving him in like a slumber state.
they're putting him in
comatose.
purgatory.
Yeah.
He's like in some sort of purgatory, and it's in the Matrix, and that's the doctor gives him his prescription to stay in the real world. Yeah, got to keep taking the blue pill. Got to keep taking these.
I think
what's the things that
I think you're
happen.
definitely on the right track because it seems for sure like this is the Neo we know, but then he has new powers. I don't know. He was like he still has the bullet stopping and whatnot, but then he like diverged a missile.
The man had the force.
But
Dude, he did have
and
the
and there was
Force.
a moment
He
in
had
the trailer.
Force.
Again, I'm gonna probably watch this 9 or 10 times before
Absolutely.
I go to bed tonight.
As you should.
But it looked like he was old and he was looking younger again. So maybe in the mirror, that's what he really looks like in the Matrix. But that's how he sees himself in a
Right.
way, like
Mm-hmm.
as younger and still the one. But the fact that he's like, you have no idea who I am.
Mm-hmm.
So are we getting like is this Morpheus or is this Morpheus reincarnated in a different way? Because we know that reincarnation is a huge theme in the Matrix. Like you could die to self but come back as something else.
For sure.
And the title lends itself, resurrections.
Resurrection.
And it's all about, anime is a big thing for them, a big theme for them as
Right.
far not theme, but
No. I think
structure of everything and reincarnation and all
Yeah.
these certain things. You can be whatever you want. You flow in and out of things and consciousness and time. And I don't know what I just watched. I don't know what Lana's doing, but girl, you are doing it, girl.
dude, it was
Girl.
Girl.
No, it got to the
Man.
point. It got to the point when I
So
was
excited for
looking at
this.
all the little teasers and I was trying to put together like so the new characters we get for sure that's Morpheus or young Morpheus, whatever. But homegirl from Iron Fist, that's homegirl with the blue hair in this. She's gonna be
Yes.
one of the, I guess, freed mind. One of the,
The
red
chick
pills
with
they call it.
the glasses on.
Mhm.
That's leaning.
I-
They go through the mirror or whatever.
Yeah,
I saw a theory that they think some people think that might be the little girl who's with Oracle in the original trilogy.
With the glasses?
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I think that.
Yeah,
no,
that's
no,
what-
that's what we're talking about. Sati, the
Yeah,
one that they made the cookies
that's
with. I'm
Sati.
talking about the character that's taking Neo through the mirror. The one
She's
that's
got
like if-
blue
And
hair.
they're like
you-
on a train together or
yeah,
whatever.
she's the
Okay.
one doing all like the crazy flips and shooting
No,
the gun.
Sati, I recognize right. I think she might be our new Oracle in this movie because she has
She
the
has the
same
glasses.
glasses that the Oracle
Okay.
did, and she was learning under the Oracle as well. So I think our Sati, she's going to be like, I think that her and Neo, there's going to be a scene between those two, and we're going to be like,
Oh, for sure.
This is what oh man, this is going to be a fun movie.
This
This
is
is
gonna
going to
be
be
a
a
really
lot of
fun
fun. What I also noticed was the color grading of it.
Yeah, dude.
And I'm going to try and speed through this because we have so much going on today in the show. But
We do.
the color the color grading is the same color grading as the end of Revolutions. After everyone's free, there's full of color, there's full of light, there's no green tones, there's no dark tones. If you noticed in the mirror, he's walking it, it's the same, it looked like the same room for the first one, but in the first one, it's dark, it's green, it's brooding. This was filled with light.
Well,
there was so much light that was in this and so much contrast and color and all this stuff. So I'm wondering, like, yes, the Matrix has essentially been saved, but it's not been defeated, and you're living in a saved Matrix, but still, the humans are like, no, as long as this, because I watched the first one last night, as long as
I watched
this...
Animatrix last night.
So good, right? So as long as this still exists, humans are never truly free.
Correct.
Because that was Morpheus' whole thing. Why, if the Matrix is still a thing, then humans are actually not really free yet. So this is what we're here to do. So I think, oh my God.
You're talking about the color?
Sonny.
No, the color grading. If you notice when they're in the Matrix, it's all red and nice and sunset. Hey, buddy. Otherwise, though, it's blue. When they're, I think that's when they're talking about when they're on the other side.
Great.
Everything's blue. So the color grading is definitely a good differentiating theme. Are you okay?
I'm so
I
excited.
don't think he is. I think he's not okay in the best way possible.
I'm shaking.
Yeah.
I am
so
so
cool.
excited
I
for
got
this.
goosebumps. I got goosebumps.
I'm so glad I waited to watch for the show today. Guys, this is a genuine reaction out of me. I cannot wait for this movie to come out. It's going to be awesome.
We probably all would have been doing this, but we all watched it.
Losers.
I watched it at 6 o'clock this morning.
I watched it when I got home from work today. I'm not as huge a fan as Sonny and Donovan of The Matrix, but it is super cool to see Neo back. From the Matrix stuff, Neo as a character is my favorite, like, part of the thing. Him and Mr. Smith, or Agent Smith, Mr. Smith. Agent Smith, I think, are like one of the coolest, like, yin and yangs ever in film
without a doubt.
history.
Sure.
And I'm excited to see what happens. I hope it's not a retread of the first one, which I think it will be a little bit.
I do
because
too.
they do need to get new viewers in
For
and a
sure.
new generation in, but I hope they do some different stuff with it. And I'm not going to try to say his name because I will butcher it. The gentleman who played Dr. Manhattan in Watchmen,
Yes,
he's playing
Candyman.
maybe Morpheus, maybe a different version of Morpheus,
Right.
maybe
He
Morpheus
played
is
Black
like
Manta in Aquaman.
maybe Morpheus is like the one. There's multiple Morpheuses throughout time.
Yeah.
Well, Lawrence
And
that's
Fishburne
what
was
I was thinking.
Lawrence Fishburne was quoted. They say, "Are you in the new Matrix movie?" He goes, "No, I was not asked to be in this movie
Yeah.
for a certain reason, but I'm gonna let Lana tell that reason."
Yeah.
So I don't think Lawrence Fishburne was like, I'm not in this. I think he was like, I've served my purpose and now it's ready to move on to the next thing, which is very Morpheus.
I think
of
his
him
name
anyway.
is Abdul Mateen.
Yeah, Abdul Mateen.
He is a fantastic
He's
actor.
very good.
I haven't. He kills it every single role.
The
And he does
Watchmen,
different roles every time.
Watchmen, he blew it away. Like that was like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, yeah. I'm excited for this. This is great. We have a lot of show to get to. I'll leave. I'll stop because I can go 50 minutes on the Matrix.
Last week,
We have so much show. I'm so happy we're here today.
I'm looking forward to seeing it as well. I love the original Matrix, and I enjoyed the sequel. It was very entertaining, and I'm looking forward to this. And I agree with, I concur with everything you guys were saying. I agree with it. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. And I mean, it's gonna be like really fun to watch some stuff during the holidays that you're actually, you know, you kind of have a good feeling about what we're
hopefully.
gonna be watching. You know,
Hopefully.
hopefully.
We know with Warner Brothers we're going to watch it because if theaters start closing down,
Oh no.
we'll be able to watch this from the comfort of our home,
Yeah.
which is a nice fallback on Warner Brothers. I got to
That's
hand
okay.
it to
We'll be
them
on the
as far as
couch over
that.
there behind you.
Yeah.
No, it's facts.
Studio.
So
Baby.
speaking, you mentioned theaters, and speaking of theaters, last week we all got to go together as a family and watch
Chong.
Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
Shang-Chi, The Legend of the Ten Rings.
Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi.
Spoiler alert.
Chong.
Oh.
It was good, dude. And it,
I really
I
honestly,
really
liked it.
enjoyed it. Yep.
I think at the end of it, we were all kind of, I did the whole, hey, 1 through 10, and everybody kind of gave mixed emotions. I think a lot of us have seen it more than once.
I haven't seen it again, but I gave it like I'll spoil my rating for it. Right? I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. Sonny gave it an 8 out of 10, and Sonny proceeded to like yell at me and say that was a bad rating. I thought it was a great movie.
Per usual.
I really, really enjoyed it.
Per usual.
Aquafina wasn't as annoying as you thought she
No,
would
she
be.
actually wasn't. At first, at the beginning of the movie, I was like, "Here we go,"
Mm.
but they paced her comedy really
Mhm.
well, and they gave her really good beats, which
Yeah.
I was excited for. I thought it was going to be the classic Marvel trope of giving the funny person the funny lines all the funny time, and then
Yeah.
always
All
All
funny
the
with
funny
no.
time.
And you're just like, "All right, we get it. You're
Yeah.
the humor." Like like Kat Dennings' character in the Thor movies.
Uh,
She,
Darcy.
Darcy.
Darcy. She's just always funny and always on, and
Right.
in WandaVision, she kind of delivered as far as like information and
She
what
was a
her
little better,
skills are, but in the Thor movies, she's almost useless.
She's all
She-
wink and a nudge every time she's on
I'm
screen.
literally sinking in this chair as I keep going. This is amazing. But yeah, yeah, I gave the movie a 6.8 out of 10. The reason why, and
I kind of agree
I know-
with him on a lot of things he's about to say.
so I thought this was a wonderful movie, like what Black Panther was for the black audience.
Mhm.
This was for the Asian audience.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I thought
sure.
it was wonderfully told. I thought it honored the culture very, very well.
Agree.
I don't want to try and sit here and say that I understand and know the culture as a Scottish guy, but they of what I know, they honored it really well. And the feedback that I've received from some of my friends who are of Asian descent say that this was awesome. This was like stories their grandfather
Right.
and their grandmother would tell them about ancient Chinese stuff. And I thought, oh well, that's awesome. Like
Right.
I love that for them. I do think that this movie was an Americanized kung fu movie. There was a lot of American tropes that was thrown in there. I would have
Yeah.
loved to have seen a little less of that, just because kung fu is literally one of my favorite genres.
Right. Right.
I think our lead did a really good job. He did what he was supposed to do, but
Agreed.
the Mandarin as the father was not compelling.
I
Underwhelming.
110%
Yeah.
agree.
He was
Underwhelming.
He was not compelling. He didn't give. It was just that I have to save my wife. She's calling for me.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
it's not her.
And-
Destruction. The rings are yours now, son.
To piggyback on Donovan a little bit, I agree wholeheartedly about the father thing, and I think for me that's the weak point of the movie. I think a lot of the scenes we do see him in are recycled. I think it might have been a little better if they were a little more like what's it called, antagonistic towards each other, Shang-Chi and his dad, because they were just kind of like, okay, we're in the same room now, like
Right.
after this.
Right. He like hugged him, and he's like, "It's just my dad."
I think he wasn't very compelling, and I just didn't find him that interesting. And byproduct of that, a lot of the smaller moments where Simu is killing it, and he's like, "Man, I got to do this. I got to take my dad out. I got to do this." It didn't hit me as hard because I wasn't as compelled by the father character, but. There's some incredible CGI fights with the dragon, which you see in the trailer, and
Yeah.
another one, and those are incredible.
Yeah.
And
Those look really
Yeah,
good.
no one's taking away the fighting sequences. And
Well, no,
special
see,
effects. Those were awesome.
that's where I was kind of gonna go in. You guys, definitely pointed out the shaky parts, and there was some CGI
Yeah.
points where the background of things kind of looked a little bit wonky. But on the flip side, like the fight scenes were amazing.
Yeah.
Choreography was
Unbelievable.
outstanding. It felt like I was watching like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon mixed with a Marvel
They
movie.
had a fight choreographer from that.
Correct.
Working on that.
Sick,
scene.
stupid, and I loved the costume designs. The dragon at the end looked super cool.
Dude, that was so dope.
I wish
Yeah.
that they kind of explained a little bit more. We were talking about like how he like comes out and you're like, okay, you could ride on me now. Like there needs to be some kind of connection between them a little bit more. I don't know. It was a great movie, beautifully made.
I just think we could have gotten a better story.
Why are you so short right now?
I'm short
You're
because
so
this chair is
small.
sinking.
He fixed it. Don't move
Quan
yourself.
is
Don't
saying,
move
"Say,
yourself.
this is fine."
I just looked over.
I think that dynamic though of the father son thing was, we've seen it.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Not only in superhero stuff, but we've seen it within just movies as a whole.
Every movie.
Yeah.
And that there's that.
And we've seen it
The
done
fa-
better in the Marvel movies itself with Thanos and Nebula,
Sure.
and I think that's why it maybe felt.
Tony and Howard.
But sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
No,
off,
no,
Frank,
you're
but
fine.
I
Go
I
ahead.
really enjoyed this film, and I don't want it to seem like I didn't.
I was going to say that the fact that he's denying his existence, that he could have like a very successful life, and that he could have wealth and everything else. He's denying that. He says like he's giving him 10 years to do whatever he wants, and then he's like, I'm going back now. I'm just going to take you back. I'm bringing you back. You're going to be with me on my side, the type of thing. I like the dynamic of the fact that a lot of these characters that they're beginning to introduce, this next wave of characters, they all have international, kind of international flair, different multicultural backgrounds, and they're sort of reluctant. They could be reluctant to be actually considered Avengers, and I think that that's kind of neat that Feige has said there isn't going to be an Avengers film,
right?
Because they need time to build all of this stuff that they're moving towards. I wanted to really quick touch on the post-credit thing.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes.
About these, is this connecting to directly into whatever we're going to see in Eternals, which by the way is like 6 weeks from now.
So stoked.
Same.
Is that something that they're just going to be connecting? Is going to be going right into this?
Yeah. I think we might hear that signal. Spoiler alert. I think so. We won't. Say
run
about it
us through what happens in the post-credit scene.
So if you haven't seen it, just press mute or whatever so we can talk. There's a signal that's been brought out by the rings. Now that Shang-Chi has the rings, they're Banner and Captain Danvers. They're trying to figure out Captain Marvel.
Yep.
They're trying to figure out what metal is this? What technology is this? It's not.
It's a different kind of magic.
It's a different type of magic. Wong doesn't know what it is, and it's sending off a beacon. It's sending off a sound to space, to another dimension, to another world. Who knows? And I think maybe we might get some type of touch, maybe on the after credits of Eternals. Because who or what could this beacon be going out to?
And I think we're seeing Wong kind of build the next Avengers. A little small spoiler, you see Abomination in the trailers. Turns out him and Wong may not have really been fighting, and maybe he's recruiting Abomination for a team of some sort, with which he also recruits Shang and Awkwafina Katie at the end of. And that's cool to me to see that Wong is the one kind of creating this team to go battle whatever is coming.
I like that because even Banner was like, "Welcome to the circus," and like Shang-Chi was like, "Did I just become an Avenger?" Like, what? You know?
Well, with the fact
can we just? I know that you can't see it on camera, but I am. The guys are next to me. They're literally a foot above me right now, and I feel like a little kid at the grown-ups table, and it is awesome.
It's the tallest
there's
I've ever grown my life.
a little handle there on the side. You can adjust it. Make it
No, I know,
Yeah,
but
he
I
already
just
fixed it. We're good.
I don't want to have Quan cut off headroom and all that. You know.
Shout outs to everybody in the chat. We love you guys.
Yeah, what's up, guys?
We wanted to get to before we're going to get to the
reason you guys are here.
the entree. We wanted to get to a little bit of news.
I got a couple of things, just real quick. Just real quick. Kind of in the game verse of things. Spider-Man 2 for PS5 just got announced. Tony Todd
as
is going to
Venom.
be voicing Venom.
Oh, that's cool.
The OG Candyman.
Yep.
So Candyman is actually going around movie theaters right now. Very creepy. I watched it. They also announced by the same people, Insomniac, so it's going to be a good performance game. They're going to be doing a Wolverine game for
And
PS5.
I am so hyped
And
for
it looks gritty, and it looks gory, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be crazy.
Are these PlayStation exclusives?
Yes.
I think so.
And I'm going to steal Sonny's thunder a little bit because this is the one that I am most excited about. I have played through the PS4 God of War game like 5 or 6 times. I never do that with anything. I am so excited to play God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah.
It's where it's like basically the Ragnarok story from Norse mythology, but with these characters, and Kratos thrown in with it.
Right.
And he may be teaming up with Thor. He may be fighting Odin.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, dude.
Tyr, he's gonna go
see him?
Yeah, he's gonna go find the God of War of this mythology, and they're gonna work together. So cool stories.
That game plays so well. It's the perfect amount of difficult. It's the perfect amount of cool exploratory. I cannot wait.
Yeah.
For
So
this
I'll be doing all kind of coverage on that. I'll be getting them both. And if you guys are into the games, I'll be making sure to get at least 10 minutes to talk about it with you guys. So.
100%
For sure.
All right. Back to the good stuff.
Okay.
24 minutes. We kind of did that.
But hey, so tell them why we're all here right now.
All right. So
Because we do
earlier-
this every Thursday.
We
Paul.
do it every Thursday.
That's not exactly what I meant, but
Earlier this week, we got a really cool opportunity and a really good experience, I think, for all of us. It was pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
We got to talk to the writer of Action Comics, and he was on a pretty good Superman run as well. Wrote Last God, Alien. If you haven't read any of these, I suggested you would go back and read any or all of these.
Absolutely.
if you get a chance.
Absolutely.
We're talking about, of course, Phillip Kennedy Johnson.
Yep.
He was awesome, and we got to spend a good amount of time with him just a couple of days ago, and it was awesome.
It was super cool, man.
Yeah. So we're gonna get into that right now. We're gonna watch a little bit of that interview right now.
Hang out with us, guys, and check this out.
Yep. This is so.
Well, with us today, we have the one and only Phillip Kennedy Johnson, Sergeant First Class in the Army, a musician. He also happens to be a very popular comic book writer of everybody in this room. Action Comics, Superman, as well as the Alien franchise that's currently with Marvel. He joins us now. How are you, Mr. Johnson?
I'm awesome, Frank. Thanks for having me, you guys.
Hey, what's going on, man?
We
Yeah,
appreciate you
nothing.
taking the
Pleasure
time
to
to
be
be here with us today.
Yeah, dude, my pleasure.
So I've seen your love of music, and with regards to Last God, the influence of music, and that you were a musician. How does that play a part in writing?
Let's see. With something like The Last God, it was kind of my way into high fantasy. Like, it's one of the things that really spoke to me about Tolkien's work back when I was a kid, and ever since then, is that he has all these songs and poems and little stories and things worked into his prose writing, like as part of the Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. All his Middle Earth work had those things worked in there, and it just made the world feel so much older and more rich, and it was a concise way to make the world feel legit. You could just tell that the world's been around for a long time. And I mean, I know that whole world was built around his love of language. Like, he invented these languages just sort of for fun, and then the mythology kind of grew around that.
Mhm.
For me, if his way in was language, my way in was music. I thought that some of those little songs, like Petal Black, Petal Gray in issue 1, and some of the other ones that showed up later, the Grendel poem and those things, like those were kind of the seeds that a lot of the world sort of grew up around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that, because when I read it, the first thing I thought was, felt like I was reading a Lord of the Rings book. I was like,
Yeah.
hey, there's the songs in this comic. That's sick, and that's it. I love that that's where it comes from, because I love those too, and it's super cool to see that that's where it came from. I
When
love
you
that.
when you write these songs, because I always wondered this about Tolkien as well, like when he's writing these things, do you have a melody in mind for these songs, or is it, I know we're all supposed to openly interpret how the song, the flow, the music, the chords, all that's supposed to be in our own mind, but for you, do you have the melody and all the things in your head when you go into writing a song like that for the series?
I do, and actually in the back of the issues, the single issues, and sometimes even on the page, the melody is in notation on the page where you can read it and play it if you want to, or sing it.
Fantastic.
That's awesome.
There was I went probably a little overboard with some of that. I wanted not only the music to be, not only that, I wanted melody there. I wanted the readers to be able to, to sing it. I also wanted, it felt a little bit fakey to give them to write the music in Western notation and legit real life notation. It's like, well, they're not going to use that in that world, so I'll make up my own notation, and I did that. So if you go to the back of the issue, for example, in issue 1, Petal Black and Petal Gray, that song that they're singing while they're getting drunk before they get eviscerated. That song keeps showing up in that issue, and if you read it at the end, there's you can read it in Mindlin notation, which is the one that I made up. That's set in that. That's what they read there. The few who can read music read it in Mindlin notation, and that's all in the back. And then they have it in Guild notation, which is that's like our notation basically.
Right.
Like, I just took out the treble clef and made it read like we would read it here, so that people who can read music can play it themselves. And we actually even made trailers.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
We made trailers as well for the first 3 issues that recorded some of those songs. So
That's
I kind of
sick.
remember that. I think I remember seeing at least one of them.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Frank.
No, I was going to say I kind of remember seeing one of those trailers.
Oh, cool. Yeah, there was a song. Let's see. The first one was just instrumental, just a song that I made up that was not actually in the books anywhere. just called The Last God Overture that we recorded the first trailer with. But then the second one, we were pushing the first issue specifically with a song that recorded Pedal Black. And then for the third issue, we recorded Sleep,
Nice.
which I want to say was in the second issue. Yeah, there's a song. Oh no, I guess maybe it's in the third one. See, Sleep was a poem, like a little lullaby kind of that the Elva can like a spell, kind of like a spell song that they use to shepherd the dying into the land of the dead.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it we discovered that there's an equivalent human poem, which is weird because there shouldn't be any crossover between human and Elven cultures. So it kind of is this little mystery about why they have it in both cultures. But
That's
there's
really cool.
Wonderful.
I like
there's
that a
an
lot.
English version in which it it kind of suggests a little more connection than we thought was there. And I made up a little poetry form somewhere between. I really like iambic pentameter that you see like in Shakespeare's work, or sonnets and stuff. But I also I wanted to use elements of haiku where it's like 5-7-5 all the time.
Yep.
There's really nice little elegance to that, and I like that haiku tends to have starts in a strong beat, whereas iambic pentameter starts on a weak beat. And like iambic pentameter, it's always weak, strong all the way through the 10 syllables in each line. And so long, 10 syllables is so long, it doesn't lend itself to music all that well, to lyrics. So I thought that it would be nice to have. Let's see, I think it's 5-6-8-6. I think is the way we did it. So the first one starts in a strong beat, and then it's more even after that. So that gives us the lyrics like goddess, let's see, goddess give me sleep, which is, let's see, 5. Protect my flock I pray. And then there's 8 and 6. How the rest of them go? I forget the lyrics offhand. Anyway,
I love this. This is
got a
great.
melody.
This has me stuck. This is awesome, man.
check out my YouTube, and you can find the trailer to The Last God, in which the song "Sleep" appears, and you can hear several stanzas. Plus, the sheet music's in the back of issue 3.
Oh man, that's so awesome.
And what is your YouTube? Just your name?
Just my name, yeah. Find me by my name.
Fantastic.
That's so cool.
So you also served in the military, or you're active? Is that correct?
I'm active, yeah.
Okay,
awesome,
you're
man.
Sergeant First Class.
I am. I just got picked up for Master Sergeant, actually. Which is
Wow!
kinda cool.
Congratulations.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Appreciate that.
With your experience in the military, and then also you have some MMA experience. How does that influence writing, or just like an approach overall, I guess, to like maybe a story arc or something that you could be going in? Like, I mean, it's not in the same level, but with regards to this war level type of thing that Superman is experiencing, how does that sort of play in or factor in, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
The Army element does come into play in some of my work, not all. There's elements of the Afghanistan thing that's kind of affect the story a little bit. I have my opinions about some of that. I'm due to the Uniform Code of Military Justice, I'm not permitted to talk about my political views outright.
Of course.
Right.
But I can write fictional comic books.
Sure, that's true.
This is a fact.
So sometimes those things come out a little bit in my work. I wrote a story in 2016 called Warlords of Appalachia, and the first issue came out. The first issue came out in October, and there's a very Trumpy character in there. It's all my opinion about the political divisions that were happening in this country at that point. Takes place after the Second American Civil War. It's kind of a way to, get my thoughts out there in a more subtle way.
Of course.
The big thing that you're going to see reflected in the War World saga, though, in Action Comics, is my my take on human trafficking and slavery.
You can see that clearly
For
already.
Sure.
Yeah, thanks. You're gonna see a lot more of that for sure. It's the way that I wanted to set Mongol apart from other similar big bruiser type aliens like Thanos and Darkseid and guys that at a glance people might think are kind of similar.
Right.
I wanted Mongol to really set himself apart in some way, and my way into that was to build this kind of cult of slavery around him and make him a slaver. And that to me, that there was like kind of a throwaway line in Bendis's run where he talks about he makes like there was the relationship between Mongol and Warzoons used to be a little more complicated, but these days it's all kind of been streamlined, and it makes it look like Mongol is himself a Warzoon, like that's his species. And now that we know that, it actually does kind of make it easier. And knowing he's a Warzoon, that he comes from this culture and that they live on like Warworld is their home planet and all that, or at least a home planet. That kind of made the whole thing a little bit simpler. So now I wanted to establish a species, like a culture where the concept of dominance is central to like everything. The way that the Fremen on Dune is all about water scarcity. I wanted the concept of kicking ass and killing others and taking what's theirs to be like the central tenet of everything that they do, like their religion, the way they gather food, the way they mate, everything.
Wow.
So Mongol is just kind of like the apex of that pyramid.
It's so cool.
It's a title, not a name.
And I love the way you can see that Thao Law, she doesn't want to be like, and I think like now that hearing you say it, it makes perfect sense. It fits in perfectly with the human trafficking kind of thing. Thao Law, she clearly doesn't like Mongol and what they stand for, but she feels like she has to do what his bidding. She has to, and she's like, sorry.
There's no ifs,
at the
ands, or
end of
buts.
1034, I believe it was. She's like, I'm sorry, Lois, but I have to do this. I have to. And she doesn't. It makes it seem like she really doesn't have a choice. And I'm super excited to see where that goes.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I mean, from her perspective, he owns her, and she's starting to feel more comfortable on Earth until she realizes that she's not safe. Like she's starting to feel more safe with them, and she's starting to feel a little bit of regret. Like she breaks the gift that Lois had given her. She has this little angry attack and breaks the thing, and then she feels bad about it. And she's talking to her comatose friends about it. She's starting to get a little more comfy, letting herself feel emotions and stuff. And then they, the other Warzoons appear, and they remind her, like, you're not free. Like, we still have you. He's still watching you.
And then even after, sorry. And then even after she, small little spoiler, she takes them out, she still feels like she has to do what they came to force her to do.
Totally. Because they can get to her anytime. And she knows that now. So yeah, it's, as I learned more and more about human trafficking, I found, a lot of trafficking victims, like sex trafficking victims, don't know that they have a pimp. They don't know they have a trafficker. They think that they have a boyfriend.
Right.
And that's how they see them, and then they have this loyalty there that obviously doesn't go both ways. But it's there's this invisible chain that they just can't ever shake.
Yeah.
And I met this one woman who told me once. She said, if the cops had kicked in the door in the middle of the night, put a gun to my trafficker's head, and asked me, "Are you being trafficked?" I would have said no. And I just had this kind of throw up my hands moment, like, what the fuck are we doing this for? Like, how are we supposed to save anybody? Like it just seemed like this impossible task.
Right.
I'll never forget that. And that's going to come through in this book, if it hasn't already. Like there's this chain that they value that they can't ever lose. Like they're very proud of their relationship with this person. Like, hey, if I just save up enough money to get, we're going to get married and everything's going to be good. They just cling to this chain like it's their only thing of value.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Total manipulation.
Wow.
Yeah. Like so that's gonna be all over this book. Their chain on Warworld is all important. And for every victory, they take a link of the chain from the other person and they get it themselves. They're trying to get it as long as they can get it, so they have more. At first, it's all about getting more freedom to move. So if you only have a couple of links, you're like this,
right?
And you win and you win and you win, and now you can move your arms freely. But now you've got this weight you've got to drag around with you. But it's the sign of honor and respect. It's all this big mind game to make them feel like it's valuable.
We have a ton of mediums that throw up the mirror to us as a society and kind of go like, hey, you might want to take a look at yourself and take a look as a whole, as a people. And I can't think of a better series that you have right now, Last Sons of America. If you haven't picked up a copy of these books, please go out to your local comic book shop and get them, or visit Philip Kennedy Johnson's website, philipkennedyjohnson.com. Look for that title. It's absolutely amazing. I've been blown away by it. And hearing you talk about sort of human trafficking and all the things that are going on in our country now, and then reading the story, you kind of go, I see what's happening here. And it's also currently in development at Netflix. So I was wondering, what was the process like to get where it is now for you and with the guys at Netflix? Well, of course, knowing that you have non-disclosure agreements and all the things that you can't say, but what was that process like when they approached you and said, hey, like, we want to do this, we love this story, and everything that went after that?
Yeah, thanks, dude. I appreciate you plugging the book. I'm very proud of it. That was my first published book, actually, at least on like in print.
Yep.
Yeah, that was another one that came right out of I was actively doing a ton of human trafficking at the time, and there was this earthquake in Haiti that happened in 2010, and that was when I was just kind of coming up with the idea. And so when the earthquake happened, there was this church group from the United States that went down there to ostensibly to find families for orphaned kids, but they ended up taking a lot of kids who still had families and tried to smuggle them out of the country, and there was this big stink. And that kind of got me, like, I thought I kind of knew it all about human trafficking back then, but I had not really found out anything about the for-profit adoption industry. And that kind of sent me down that rabbit hole of learning how that whole thing worked. And there's almost nothing in that book that's made up. The concept is that what if Americans couldn't have kids anymore, but others could? And so it kind of makes kids like money around the world. He makes human trafficking legit. That's just the way that we have families after that. We're buying kids every place. And that's really actually how it works. Like, there's a lot of places where people just sell their kids, and those are the children that end up getting adopted here. And it's a super complicated gray situation, because I mean, there are places where the people just can't afford to raise them, and we need families here. So I mean, we can't exactly just shut it down the way it's happening now, but it does create some pretty messed up situations overseas. Anyway, that aside, so we made the book. It was a story I felt very strongly about. At some point, I'm drawing a blank on his name. Peter Dinklage read it, and anyone who read the book, he's totally in there.
Yep. Oh yes. Oh yes.
The artist, was heavily influenced by Peter Dinklage for one of the characters. It follows these two brothers, and one of them is two of the last natural-born citizens in the United States who are now working as adoption agents overseas, basically child retailers, just grabbing kids. And one of them looks like Dinklage. And so Dinklage reads this book and sees himself on the page. And I even told Matthew when we were drawing this, I was like, I think you might want to doll this up a little bit. It looks we're going to get sued.
We're using someone's likeness.
He's like, well, I'll make one of his arms shorter.
Perfect. Done.
He just kind of messed with it a little bit. It's still clearly him. I mean, it's not as close as it was, but anyway, I digress. So we put the book out there, and Dinklage read it, and instead of suing us, he liked it.
Oh wow!
And he wanted to be a part of it. And he's good friends with Matt Reeves, who is the director of the upcoming Batman film, and the Planet of the Apes films that were made more recently, and some other stuff.
Bunch of fantastic stuff.
Yeah.
He's got his own production company, and they wanted to do it. And so somebody reached out to somebody else, and we kind of got the whole thing set up. And so Matt Reeves' production company set up to produce that film.
Wow.
And with a very sought after indie director named Josh Mon to direct, and with Dinklage to star.
Wow.
So yeah, it's pretty rad.
Full circle.
Funny, you went from thinking you might get in some legal trouble to possibly having a television
green
show.
light on.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
That's so cool.
All the Matthew and his over-reliance on photo ref.
Yeah, seriously. Well, we mentioned at the intro of the show, you are an Eisner Award nominee for the short story The Forgotten Princess. So what does it mean to you to receive a nomination like that?
Oh, dude, it was amazing. I was almost embarrassed, because at the time there were a lot of nominees. All the nominees were about these really important social issues, or like I think the one that won ended up being a tribute to a beloved person in the comic industry. And then I had like Forgotten Princess is an Adventure Time, a short story. And I was like, damn, dude, if I win this, I'm gonna be really embarrassed. Like snatching victory out of the jaws of like some really important story about.
Right.
I can't remember what the other stories were about. It's been a few years now, but yeah, I was really surprised. Honestly, I'm very proud of that story. The artist was something Sandoval. I've not worked with him since then, but he was really great. Oh shit, I'm drawing a blank. Not Arturo Sandoval. He's a trumpet player. But I forget. Damn it. Now I feel like a jerk. Anyway, it was so good. Beautifully drawn. And very stylized, but really creepy. And the story itself is creepy. And there's this one big spread where, let's see, not Jake, but oh my God, not Jake the dog. What's the name of the kid?
Oh man, I wish I watched more Adventure Time.
Finn.
Yeah, there you go.
There it is.
Finn is going through the doorway into this other kingdom, the Forgotten Kingdom, and it's kind of the whole spread spirals down toward like you have to keep spinning the book to read the text.
Nice.
They did something similar with the Court of Owls, Scott Snyder and Capullo. I love when you do stuff like that,
Yeah,
kind of make you
they do.
interact with the writing a little
Yeah.
bit more.
Yeah, they do it page by page. And
Yeah.
this one, it was only like a 6-page short, so that all happened on a 2-page spread. So you're just like literally rotating the book like
I love that.
continuously to read it like a swirl, like you're going down a toilet, basically.
So cool.
Yeah, it was really fun, and I'd never seen that in a comic before, and the artist was such just an incredible talent. I gotta get a hold of that guy again. We gotta do something together again because he was amazing.
That's awesome.
Antonio Sandoval.
Antonio, thank you. Yeah,
There it goes.
kept thinking Arturo. Yeah, he's amazing. He's done a lot of he's done a lot of work for publishers you might not have seen. I've got one here somewhere like like a really creepy kind of fantasy thing that he did. It was just beautifully done. I think that one was nominated for an Eisner too.
Nice.
Yeah, he's amazing.
And so after getting into that, we want to go back a little bit to the Superman stuff. So for me in particular, I had read some of your stuff and I saw that you were going to be on the Future State book. And I was like, oh, like I'm going to get all the Future State stuff, but this is like, I'm reading this one when I get home.
Solidifies it.
Because
Yeah.
I had really enjoyed your work from before. And so I get home and I read the War World or which one? I'm forgetting. Yeah, Worlds of War. And I loved it. You clearly grasped what made Superman, especially with the young girl who's like, everyone's like, oh, Superman's nothing without his powers, and she's like, she's mad. She's like, no, you don't get it. You just do not get it. And she's like explaining to the other little boy why Superman is more than his powers. In line with, we're also seeing him fight on War World, all these people without his powers, and he's holding his own. And Mongo's like, why won't you quit? And Superman's like, I never quit. I won't quit. And I was like, this dude gets the character that I love.
Yeah, we even talked about it. We said,
Yeah.
this is the first time in a long time we've had someone who understands Superman as good as Grant Morrison. Like
Yeah.
we were like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. Finally, someone who gets it. So we've all been really pumped here.
Yeah, I was like, I was blown away, and I wanted to know how you ended up on the Superman book, how that process kind of works, and then how you started putting your story together. And you've already talked a little bit about the human trafficking thing. It sounds like that was probably from the inception of it. And just curious as to how excited were you when you found out you were going to be writing Action Comics, and B, like what the process was like.
Oh man, when I got the call, it was via email, thank God.
Oh.
'Cause, I mean, I did straight up like Chuck Liddell around the room.
Yeah,
Like,
let's go.
The Iceman, baby.
yeah, I was so friggin' stoked. And the reason it came, I think, is partly because of The Last God. I think when people noticed in the office how much work I put into the world building and how like I was putting 10 times too much time on every issue and like writing songs and journals and books of gospel and everything for every issue, stuff that wasn't even going on the page half the time.
Right.
They at the same time this is when 5G was coming together. Do you guys know much about that?
No.
That
5G was going to be this massive event at DC where basically it was going to set the timeline in stone, where instead of the way things are now, where Superman's just been around and pretty young since the 30s, we lock everyone into a specific time. Everyone ages in real time. So if
Yeah.
you're seeing Batman at age 30, that is happening in the 70s or whatever. And when we get to modern day, Batman is super old. Batman's gonna be somebody else, and then he is this age in this year, and it locks everybody into a certain age at a fixed time.
Right.
Super ballsy.
Yeah.
And
For sure.
and not everyone it makes New 52 look tame.
Yeah,
I mean,
right. Sure. And that got people riled up.
Yeah. It never came around. They booted Didio before that all came together. But at the time they were going to do it, and they were going to make it like the way forward. And man, it was just such a crazy swing. And they, when they saw The Last God, they were like, well, let's get this guy to show run our cosmic line. And so they approached me about, I mean, I'm a relative no name for getting such a big call, but they wanted me to kind of run, sort of be the central voice for the cosmic stuff that they wanted to do. And they had an idea for different books. And I probably shouldn't mention those because some of those might come to fruition someday, but so I went to, I was doing that. I was going to be involved in, I think, 3 books for 5G, and then 5G kind of fell apart. But I mean, there were so many awesome ideas coming together for 5G. I mean, some of the stuff that I read for that, dude, I was so excited to see some of those books come together. Regardless of my feelings about the whole event, there were some books coming out that were going to be super rad.
Mm-hmm.
So then they were like, well, hey, would you want to pitch for Superman with some of these ideas that you had coming together? I'm like, hell yeah. I would. So
Of course.
How do I say no to that?
yeah. So I pitched, and they were like, we want you to do Superman and action both.
Wow.
And I just completely lost my shit. Because I mean, he's my first hero, straight up. I wanted to be Superman as a child, and kind of ever after that.
Right.
I just remember watching that movie when I was a little kid, the '78 film, and just seeing the credits roll over me. Like there's that 3D thing that happens where the S crest and the credits all come at you, and John Williams' music is playing, and just that electric feeling that I still get when I see it. And I got to see with my son. A couple of years ago, they re-released it for the 40th anniversary. And I took my son to see that in the theater. It was so incredible.
That's so awesome.
That's very cool.
Yeah, I had a similar relationship with my dad for Superman, and so that's why it's always been so important to me, and that's why I adore your stuff, because it's so, and it's clear. It shows that you grew up with that character and you love him in the way that a lot of the people who read him do. It shows on the page everything. It's fantastic. And we wanted to talk a little bit about, like, is there anything you can give us a little sneak peek for Action Comics 1036 and the War World series, what we can expect maybe a little bit, and from like Jonathan, and I know they're kind of spread out across books right now with Superman and the Authority and Son of Kal-El from Tom Taylor and Morrison respectively. But is there any sneak peeks you can give us or tell us a little bit about what maybe we have to come?
Yeah, let me think. So Superman's got his crew now. He's got the Authority, because as we established in the War World Rising arc, the Justice League. Oh man, I guess I can't spoil everything because it's some of that's coming together still in 1035. So 1035, we'll see. That's like 1035 is the end of that arc, and all the pieces are on the board then for the War World saga.
Nice.
And I mean, I'm not spoiling anything to tell you that the Justice League's not going to War World, but you'll see why between what just happened in 1034 and what's coming in 1035. Just
so excited.
Sick.
So he's got his own crew,
Yeah.
and we'll see that. And actually, I'm exploring that in another one-shot that comes out in November as well. There's a one-shot coming out that just got announced called Batman, Superman, and the Authority, where it kind of takes the new team on a test run, kind of. And that's a really fun story.
Well, yeah, and because at the end of 1034 is out, so I feel like I don't feel bad
talking about it.
Batman was very much the artifact that came with the Warzoons that the Atlanteans had. Batman was like, yo, we need to take care of this. And Superman was like, no, actually, War World is the issue. And then Superman was like, you know what? I have to deal with War World right now. I can't deal with the U.S. Army and the Atlanteans fighting right now, so I'm gonna go take this.
Yeah.
And Arthur was waiting down there, and he's like, look, I thought it was gonna be Bruce, and I maybe could have stopped him from taking it. I can't stop you from taking it.
So,
But this
Right.
changes things.
Right.
This changes things.
For sure.
And so I'm happy to hear that Batman might actually have a little more to do with Superman. That's exciting.
Yeah, dude. Writing those two together is so cool. I mean, they're such different characters, but they also have the oldest relationship in comics, and I just
for
love
sure.
them. I love just kind of suggesting this history that they have, knowing everything they've been through since the old days. It's just so fun putting that on the page. So yeah, putting them on the page alongside the Authority too. Plus, Batman and Midnight have never met on the page.
No, they
as well.
haven't.
Right.
So that's in this issue as well.
And the last little part I want to touch on there. So I was curious. So Worlds of War is future state. It's a far-flung future kind of. Could we possibly, with this Action Comics arc, be leading to that, or maybe not? Like, is this set in stone future or a possible future from what's going on right now?
I don't want to say that everything that was in future state is going to happen exactly as it was on the page, because I mean, here's the thing. I didn't want future state when I got the green light to do my Action Comics and Superman issues, and that Action Comics was going to be this big event that went on forever. I didn't want the future state story to be just like a throwaway, doesn't count kind of thing.
Right.
I wanted it to be something that basically I wanted to give readers a glimpse of what was coming,
Nice.
Right.
and give them like a real taste of what this my run is going to be. And so yeah, it's going to build up to those issues basically is what I'm saying.
I'm so excited.
I'm not going to tell you that it's going to be exactly that way. Like every moment is going to be retold exactly in action. Like we're not going to see that exact moment. Those moments that you see on the page are kind of like very representative of what's coming. I'm not going to say that Superman's going to be stuck on War World for 10 years because I mean in the book it kind of suggests it doesn't specifically say how many years has passed. I think somewhere in publicity DC said this is going to be 10 years down the future. That was not the case when I wrote this story.
Mm.
So when I saw that on CBR or wherever it was, I was like, well, I never said that. I'm like, sure, I'm just going to pretend that's not there because that's not what I said.
Right.
But there's also this memorial that it does acknowledge that people on Earth know that he's Clark Kent. So the stuff that came out in the Bendis run where the secret identity being gone, that's still the case in my run. Let's see, what else should I say? So that's why in the future state issues, Smallville has kind of become like this Roswell type, like touristy place.
Yeah.
Where like they just call it Krypton now, and everyone's out in the streets selling like bits of Kryptonian junk. Because that's how Roswell is. If you've ever been there, like if you go into the Arby's, it's the alien Arby's. Like
everything.
Everything's alien.
Has alien crap all over it, and it's fine, it's cool, it's fun, but it's definitely just absorbed that town. No one remembers what Roswell was like before the supposed landing. So anyway, but yeah, I wanted the future state issues to be a taste of what's coming, about like an example of what's coming in my runs, because it was this big change of the guard. The fact that Bendis had both books, and then I was getting both books, even though it was only for a short time. I wanted to make it like a statement. I also wanted it to be kind of a love letter to Superman 400 that I read when I was a kid, because I think it's kind of the high mark at the time. It was the high mark for what Superman could be in my mind. It was this issue. It's an anthology of short stories. And the theme that tied them all together was Superman in the future. That's what the whole thing was about.
Right.
So you'd have all these short stories by different creators, different artists especially, each one giving a very different vision of Superman in the future. And it just blew me away. It was so creative. Some of the stories were so out of the box. I just loved it. And it gave me a just bigger sense of what Superman was. And that anthology gave me a bigger sense of what Superman meant to other people. It wasn't just about him. It was also about the world and how he impacted everything on Earth, but also across the universe. So I wanted to show all that. So these two issues of Worlds of War, the first issue was always meant to be, it was meant to tell us what Superman meant to us. Okay, so we see the memorial in the field where his rocket landed. And these people that Superman saved in his lifetime come together to remember him and talk about how they saved him and give little theories about where they think he is now. And it's like this religious moment for them. And we see all these myths and fables about what happened to him. And they get more and more creative and crazy until at the very end we see where he actually is.
Yeah.
He's horrible. Like they're like, we see that last little troll at the end, like, no, Superman, you got it all wrong. Superman's the best because he's the biggest and the strongest and the most powerful. That's why he always wins. And then we see him literally getting dragged through the mud as a slave on a wagon.
I love that
And
part
then
so much.
then we get to see, you know, is he still Superman without his powers? And then the next issue, we see what we mean to him. We see what we learn that he inspired us the same way. Excuse me. We learned that we inspired him the same way that he inspired us. And he tells the story. We read this op-ed that Clark Kent wrote at the Daily Planet during his lifetime here, about like a personal interest piece about a homeless man who died and how much Clark Kent admired him.
Yeah.
And how he wants us all to be like him. The person that we would, you know, some people would see and regard as a failure, that died without a pot to piss in, with no friends or family and no money and nothing. And Superman just holds him in the highest regard.
Mm-hmm.
And we see what it means to him to be human. And while we're reading those words that he wrote, we also see him fighting.
Holding
this battle.
I don't usually, I'm not one that usually gets choked up reading, but reading that and seeing, because it's the little girl who's recounting it, if I'm not mistaken, and she's talking about the article, and then you're seeing him fight for his life and for everybody else with no powers. And I'm like reading it, getting choked up. I'm like, hold on, I need to put this book down for a second.
Yeah, like give me a second.
I'm about to ruin it with my tears.
Dude, thanks, I appreciate that a lot. I mean, that story, that character, Edgar Waters, that Clark was writing about, is based on real people. I mean, the name is pretty clear. It's about, in part, it's about Medgar Evers, a great civil rights leader, who was murdered for the stances that he took, for the stance that he took during his lifetime, who was also himself a veteran, like the character is in the story.
Wow.
Someone who volunteered to fight in World War II because his brother was there.
Wow.
So he went to volunteer for a country that gave him pretty rough go. And then he came home and continued to fight for us until he was eventually killed for it. And also homeless veterans that I met during my human trafficking days. There's this old woman that I met named Sarge, who was homeless and on the back end of some substance abuse, a life of substance abuse, and had a hell of a hard life. So it was kind of about her too.
That's really cool.
Anyway, so I feel like Superman would have a lot more love and respect for these people than the average person. And I wanted to put that on the page and try to tell a story that mattered to me, you know.
That's
and
awesome.
Ironically, when those stories came out, I caught shit from people who were like, "There's not enough action," and they kind of like summed up that Trolls stance. At the memorial, where it's like, he's the best because he's the biggest and the strongest. And people are like, "There's not enough Superman in it." I'm like, Superman's all over this thing. Yeah, but those aren't real. I'm like, no, it's real, bro. It's the Superman comic.
Yeah,
right, dude.
Don't bring Kingdom Come if you, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, geez, Louise.
But it was kind of funny, and it didn't bother me. That's one case in which the criticism did not bother me at all, because I knew that those readers didn't understand it, and they were coming at Superman from a different perspective than I was, and I was super confident in that story, and I knew I was telling a story that would matter to me and to some readers like you guys who really get it, and I love that you get it. I just wanted a story that kind of boils down. It's like my mission statement on the character and how much he means to me, you know, and how much he means to my son, and how much I want him to mean to him.
Right.
So yeah, and anyway, so this is a long ass answer, but
it's okay.
It's all right. No,
it's really heartfelt, and it means everything. Kind of hearing it from your side, anyway. So we appreciate it. I kind of want.
So guys, he had so much good stuff to say, and we came into the interview like, all right, we'll do like 20, 30 minutes, and we ended up talking to the man for about an hour. And the way like we want to keep the show around an hour long, so what we're gonna do is, we cut out about 2/3 of the way through the interview. We are going to post the whole interview, the last like 18 minutes or so, on Monday, and he has so much more fun stuff to say. We just want to keep it condensed in little bite-sized stuff so you guys can enjoy it the way like it should be enjoyed. And the full interview will be up on Monday, and he has so much more good stuff to say on top of all the interesting things he had to say during that part of the interview.
Yep.
And he's just such a cool dude, and we absolutely adored having him on the show, and we'll definitely be having him on again.
He was the perfect first guest for us.
Dude,
we went into it, and we had a ton of fun. This was our first go at interviewing somebody for the show, So, guys, we'll have plenty more interviews. If you know anybody or think we should have somebody on that's worth pursuing, please let us know in the comments below, or just leave a comment wherever, or you can DM us on Instagram, Twitter, or on YouTube to let us know. But this was a ton of fun. And
This was a blast, dude.
And what a great guy.
Yeah, really super easy to talk to.
Super awesome guy.
We were all a little nervous. We're like, oh,
Yeah.
dude, all right, our first guest, let's crush this interview.
Yeah.
He made it easy. It was so easy to talk
Yeah.
to him and talk to him about the questions we had, and he had a lot of good stuff to say. And breaking down, like hearing about how the Netflix deal happened, that was hilarious and so
Yeah.
cool.
Super
and
cool.
I can't wait for you guys to hear what he has to say about Alien, which will be in the full interview towards the end, and how
how
much
I
he loves
geek
that.
out.
And
Yeah.
Donovan, like, it was another brain melting out of his ears moment.
Yeah.
And
I was so excited. We have the writer of Alien here. Like,
No,
why would I
for
not
sure.
freak
Yeah,
out?
He starts to preview some future projects and collaborations and stuff. This is kind of like our tease of his tease. We're looking forward to it on Monday, guys.
Yep.
Thank you, Philip Kennedy Johnson, for coming on our show.
Really do appreciate it.
And thank you, everyone, for being here and hanging out in the chat during the
Yes.
See you
interview.
guys next week.
Yep. Later, guys.
Later, nerds.